Hey there! Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab some espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode 214 is titled, Build Your Own Stage. All right, it is episode 214, and we are here yet again for more conversation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member of this community, and I am so blessed beyond measure that you are with me today. So today we are going to be talking about building your own stage. And why are we talking about that? Well, I'm glad you asked. We are talking about building your own stage because you are asking for this content. I have been in deep communion with you lately, and the main pain point that I hear from you, the 360er, is that you want to start building your own door, your own opportunities. So I am labeling it as building your own stage because we are musicians, right? We teach from the stage, we play from the stage, so why not? So in building your own stage, I totally get it. A lot of times people might have told you in the past, well, to build your own creative and financial opportunities, they will say, just do it. Ugh, right? I've been told that before, and I don't know about you, but I get extremely frustrated when I hear that. Just do it? I mean, that literally is the Nike slogan. I don't know what that means. And again, I don't know about you, but the reason why it doesn't resonate with me of just do it is because that advice is very vague. I need more tangible steps. So that's what we're going to do today. If you are finding yourself at a threshold, at a crossroad, and you're banging your head against the wall, and getting into the gatekeeper's door is gruesome, and trying to get into one of those two traditional jobs is not panning out for you, the problem may not be you. I've been seeing this a lot lately, and you probably have been noticing this as well. And that is the market is overly saturated with highly qualified musicians. Music school does a really good job, right, of teaching us how to play our instrument well, how to complete a score study, how to conduct, etc., etc. But there needs to be another part to this puzzle. There needs to be another piece that fits in beautifully to the overall picture that we're trying to paint here. And that's business skills. That's skills in the sense of building your career. How do you do that? How do you build your own opportunities if the traditional path is not panning out for you? And if it's not panning out for you, I completely empathize. I've been there. So I started forging my own path, and I've been helping my clients do the exact same thing because there is an abundance of blessings right around the corner. And I don't want you to miss out. I want you to use your music degree. I want you to use your talents. I want you to have your voice be heard from your stage. And if you don't know how to do that, don't worry, I'm here. So I'm going to give you 3 tangible steps in order to start building your stage, so that way you're that much closer to reaching this goal. And, as you're pivoting into building your own stage and you think, oh, this seems scary or frightening, yes, it can be because it's new territory, right? And if you're a pioneer going into a new territory like Lewis and Clark, right? You don't know what the Rocky Mountains look like, but you don't know until you take action. So anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just wanted to paint you a picture and why we are talking about building your own stage. And that's because I want you to have fruitful, creative, and financial opportunities for yourself and for your career, because you painstakingly have worked really hard towards your music career. And I don't want you to pivot into another realm or another field if that's really not where your heart is at. Okay? So, the first step that I want you to take as you are pivoting into building your own stage is I want you to have a plan. I want you to have a vision for this new path. Planning is so essential. Now, I don't want you to get stuck in the planning stage for too long, because if you measure twice and cut once, like what carpenters do, that's really good. But at the same time, you've got to cut at some point, okay? So write out your vision, write out what you're passionate about, write out what you are good at. And by doing that, you're going to start understanding who you are and what you want to get out of your music career. So what I would like you to do is to take your tablet or notebook paper and draw out 3 circles. In circle number 1, you are going to write inside that circle what you are good at. List the skills, list your characteristics, list your strengths. What are you good at? And put that in circle number 1. Circle number 2, I want you to jot down what you are passionate about. What gets you up in the morning? What makes you get so giddy when X thing happens? Is it when you teach a lesson? Is it when you give a presentation? Is it when you write a composition? Notice when you get goosebumps. What are you passionate about? And that's going to go into circle number 2. Circle number 3 is what you get paid to do. So whether it's lessons or coaching or your digital course, what do you get paid to do, right? And then the intersection of those 3 circles is where you need to be. So hopefully just going through this, quick circle exercise, it can give you some information and some feedback into what your vision is, And for me, as I was pivoting into building my own stage and really amplifying my voice through the 360 podcast and helping listeners just like yourself through the platform, I really had to pray about this. I had to give my podcast over to the creator and say, this is yours. These are your people. This is your content. How do you want me to serve them through the different offerings that you put before me? So reflect on that information. Pray about that information. I know that really helps me. The second step that I want you to consider is I want you to build a support system around yourself. Now, as you build anything, right, whether it's the stage that we're talking about right here and right now, whether it's building a house, whether it's remodeling a kitchen, whether it's building a birdhouse, I don't care what it is, you're going to need some help. Whether it's help from IKEA or help from a contractor or help from a coach, you're going to need a support system. Now, you can try to do it on your own, but why? When you can get a support system from the doers, the people who have been there, who have walked the walk, who may be 1 or 2 or 3 summits ahead of you, who can say, this is the way. They are lighting up your path with a flashlight and saying, yep, over here. Yep, right turn, left turn, etc. You don't want to do it alone, because if you do it alone, what I have found to be true is it feels like, yes, you're walking, which is action, which is great, but it's walking. You're not running. You're not flying. And when I worked with coaches like Garrett, when I worked with Dr. Hope in the beginning of my pivot, we did weekly coaching sessions, right? And through those sessions, I was able to make better headway with his mentorship and with his coaching because he had experience. He could articulate what I needed to do, how I needed to do it, and he was a listening ear. So I would highly recommend that you jot down mentors, coaches, supporters, and their names down onto a piece of paper. Reach out to them. They would absolutely love to help you. And the third piece of advice that I would like to offer you today is take action. The more times I take action, the more clarity I receive in what I'm doing and how I'm serving my people. Just like the carpenter, right? It's good to measure. It's good to plan. Yes, do that. Don't just start sawing the piece of wood and not have your measurements down. So the carpenter measures twice and cuts once. But I think that's where a lot of musicians fall into a trap, unfortunately. I think we tend to measure a little too much because we're told, oh, it needs to be just right. Better not be a millimeter off. Better not be a centimeter off. So we measure and we measure and we measure. Guess what? You need to cut. Yep, you need to cut that piece of wood. And by doing so, you're going to learn through that action. The more I'm in business, the more I realize that it feels a little backwards to my musical training. Musical training has taught me to get that phrase done really well, right? And do it over and over and over again in the practice room. And that's great. But business, or AKA creating your own opportunities, is like an airplane that's being built as it's flying. You have got to get it out there hot and messy and see what sticks, and then kind of go backwards and then start fine-tuning, tweaking it. Us as musicians have been trained to tweak, to edit, to make better, and then produce the air quote perfect product or perfect recital, right? But what I've learned in creating my own opportunities is, yes, have that vision, write it out, have a plan. Yes, have your support system. But at the end of the day, you have got to take action. And so the reason why I say to take action is because you can plan all day long, right? And measure twice, and that's great. But the beauty is in the action. The more I built my business, the more I built it from the ground up, I learned more about my client. Case in point, for example, in the very early stages of my business, I thought I was serving the 20-year-old or 22-year-old. And I was talking to that person who I thought I was serving. The more I took action, the more I had conversations with you, the more I was doing deep dives and receiving your emails and interacting with you through Facebook groups, I realized that my client typically falls into the 35 to 65-year-old age bracket. That's astounding. That was like 20 years, 30 years older than what I had anticipated. I would have never known that piece of information about my client if I did not take action. That's where the clarity lies. And with that piece of information, I'm able to serve you better. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, wait, I'm a 20-year-old and I want to work with you. Yes, you're welcomed. I'm inviting you. So that's not to say that the 20-year-olds don't come through the 360 doors. They do. But 9 times out of 10, it's 35-year-olds to 65-year-olds. And that was astounding to me. And I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. So that was just a small example into how I gained clarity the more I took action in my business. So yes, the job market is tiny. Yes, it's overly saturated. So what are we going to do about it? I wholeheartedly believe that if we start building your stage, you are going to be elevated. You are going to be seen under these beautiful, bright floodlights, and your voice is going to be amplified through the microphone on the stage. Okay. And I know I've heard you tell me time and time again, and keep the comments coming because without it, I would be lost. But I hear you tell me over and over again that you've lost a lot of opportunities because of the pandemic, or you've lost opportunities just because the market industry is shifting so much and you don't know where to look, right? I've heard people share with me, words such as, I haven't been able to find work in what I've studied for. Yeah, I hear you. That is completely frustrating. So I think we need to be courageous. I think we need to identify that, yes, we are at a threshold, but what are we going to do about it? And to me, it's quite clear. We need to elevate you. And so by elevating you, your tribe is going to be attracted to you like a moth to a flame. Okay? You have a unique voice to offer this world with a unique set of skills that only you can bring to our community. People want to work with you. I promise you they do. And the more I get to work with 360ers from across the globe, I'm reminded that these stories are true. I have seen it for myself. I have seen it for them. So case in point, today on a air quote normal Friday, I was able to work with flutists from France, California, and Massachusetts. And I was floored. I even told one of my students today that as I was listening to her play, that I got teary-eyed. And that was a very genuine, authentic feeling. I wasn't trying to be cheesy at all. I really, honestly was just floored that I got to listen to a Californian flutist play a beautiful Gary Shocker piece. And then an hour prior to that, I was talking to a flutist in Massachusetts. And later in the day, I had scheduled a time to talk with a flutist in France about her corporate sponsorships for the database that she created for her community. And I told my student, like, oh my goodness, like, pinch me. This is amazing. And it's all because of my little 360 stage. If I can have a sliver of that, you can too. I promise you. Okay? So all of this is to say that I'm rooting for you. And I really hope that you take in consideration the circle exercise, thinking about your support system from the doers out there and taking action. And I'm here for you. If you need to start building your own stage, I have been there. I have walked the walk, and I know that it's not fun to do it alone. I would love to be that coach for you as you are building your own stage. So I'm inviting you to 2 different events. The first event is a 2-day event with myself and Garrett Hope. And in this 2-day workshop, we are going to help you identify who your audience is. If you need help with that, let us help you. And we will also give you some tips and tricks in how you can serve them to the best of your ability. This event is scheduled for August 25th and August 26th, 2022, from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Central Time, and it is completely free. So go ahead in the show notes below and click the link to register. The second thing that I want to draw your attention to is if you really are ready to build that stage, I have the perfect opportunity for you. I'm personally inviting you to apply to the Pivoting Musicians September class, and that begins September 1st. Garrett and I are talking with musicians just like you over the course of this upcoming week to see if you are a good fit for the TPM class. If you are, then great. And we will be going through this 10-week course to help you build your stage from the ground up, where you can start going through your pivot with tangible steps to help you with your paradigm shift, help you build collaborative relationships, help you to start putting together your creations, to market those creations, and to help you get your clients through your different offerings. We want to see you thrive. And if you are curious and if you are ready to build that stage, then join us for the September 2022 class. The links are below. You can check out more information about the class, and we are having 30-minute discovery calls with you and other musicians to see if it's a good fit all the way around. We want this to be an impactful cohort. We want it to be immensely valuable to you, and that's why these 30-minute calls are imperative. So go ahead and schedule your call. Applications for the class ends on August 29th, and we really hope that we get to see you soon. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I pray that it served you well. Thanks. Let's talk about Flute.